All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth, with Ben Jokes. Tinubu departs for France on private visit. Now, we have lost count of the number of times Tinubu has visited France since he assumed office. And whatever the motivation or the reason for these incessant visits is, it doesn't speak well of any nation. And it is not a matter of opinion. If you don't see anything wrong with these foreign trips, then you know next to nothing about nation building. Sometime last month, Peter Obi was charging Tinubu to take some days out of his schedule this year to tour Nigeria and see the nation firsthand. But we know he never will. There are agencies where staff are being owed allowances and even salaries right there in Abuja. And if Tinubu announces that he will be touring agencies in Abuja from Monday next week to check the working conditions of staff, I'm telling you, out of fear, those allowances will be paid by tomorrow or next. These are the little things that make the difference when it comes to leadership. But the father of corruption will never take steps that could mitigate it. And a few hours ago, a very bizarre statement came out of Tinubu's cabinet. Doctors are leaving Nigeria daily. We fear that we might be left with none in no distant time. But the Tinubu cabinet shocked the nation with a very strange statement on the health sector. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that update regarding the dubious Nigerian judiciary and the criminal INEC began making the rounds. This is particularly interesting because it involves one of those criminal professors used to rig elections. Before I show you details of these top stories and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you these videos. The first one here is a video by Omoyele Sowore, and in this video he just stated some of the manifestations of the failure of the Nigerian state. I felt so sad listening to his words in this video. Let's take a look at the video.
What has happened is unbelievable, Nigerians. That anybody that is an Inspector General of Police, that is from the AIGs to the IGP, they are on a different pension scheme. Anybody that is from Commissioner of Police to the constables, they are on a slavish pension scheme. That is to say, when they are done with their 35 years of service, they get a gratuity of less than 2 million naira. You know, when we were growing up, and this was something I changed with someone upstairs earlier, our parents who were in the civil service, we do everything to keep us going to school because they know that when they retire, their gratuity will be the first time they will buy land. Some of them buy cars, and some of them go on vacations with their gratuity. But the gratuity of Nigerian police and several other workers today, when they finish working for 35 years, is not up to 1 week allowance of a senator or a House of Rep member. 1 week after working for 35 years. I mean, what country are we in? And like we said the last time, we are not doing this because elections are coming. We are doing this because people exist in this country that deserve a better life. And we believe that the resources of Nigeria can serve the Nigerian people. So, but we cannot have resources of Nigeria go round where you have greedy people cornering everything that belongs to everybody to a few. That is why you see that we are in these struggles, and that's why they drag us from court to court for cyber crime, treason, and all these foolish and frivolous and reckless charges that you have seen. Either it is, if it's not coming from the DSS, it's coming from police or their affiliates. Or the other strategy they use is to go to court and sue us for libel. I have 15 libel cases, 15 at the FCT court alone. But we want to also continue to assure our citizens, brothers, sisters out there that there's no reason to be afraid of anybody in the country. In fact, what has led to the decadence in our society, the oppression that you have seen over time, is that so many of you are too fearful. Even when you have not been charged with anything, you are afraid. Even when you have not been slapped by police, you're afraid. You're afraid in your dreams. You're afraid in your houses. Your father is afraid. Your mother is afraid. Your sister is afraid. And then you transfer the fear to your children. And then you have a society that is fearful of both the seen and unseen hands of oppression.
You heard that. And I hope some of the police officers who shoot at protesters can hear this. If you watch that video and you are still an APC supporter, look yourself in the mirror and say, shame on me. A group of evil men have taken over the resources of this country, resources that belong to all of us, and we do nothing about it because we have taught ourselves to put aboriginal sentiments, tribe, and religion above our own well-being. And just as Shore pointed out, we have also taught ourselves to be afraid. But whatever the case may be, one thing is sure: if Nigerians don't rise against the political class in a revolution, this country will eventually cease to exist at the rate it is going. Next video here is from the shameless NLC chairman Joe Ajaero. This man announced a nationwide protest over the 50% increase in telecoms tariff, but after a meeting with some representatives of the Tinubu cabinet, he changed his mind. Let's hear him.
So give us an understanding, Mr. President, on your decision. So you backed down on the protest. You suspended the protest just on one condition, that there will be consultation between the labor union representatives and the federal government representatives. Are there other terms that were agreed upon after that meeting or in that meeting?
Well, Sean, the issue, we are the people that determined that we want to do ABC, and we stated the conditions that we want. The first condition is to bring them to the table to discuss this, which they were not willing to do ab initio. And then we stated it clearly. And then when we got to that point, of bringing them to the table to discuss, we will not go for protest or rally for the sake of it. And our protest was aimed at delivering letter, to the EVC and the Minister of Communication in the first instance. But both of them were there, and we told them that we want to deliver letter. But we opened discussion on it. And then without firing a shot, and we got that all of them are coming back to the table for us to discuss this. I wonder what the protest would have achieved more than.
You saw that. This man, Joe Ajaero, should better be very careful. He's talking about they have come to the table to discuss. Was it not on that same table that you discussed 150,000 naira minimum wage for Nigerian workers and it failed woefully? Was it not on that same table that you agreed that the cost of petrol will not be further increased from 617 naira and they increased it twice after the agreement? It is obvious that what labor leaders go to do on this table is to collect their own share of the loot, because they are complaining that you wanted to increase tariff, you didn't involve us. So the thing is, the money you want to collect, why not give us our own share? Comrade Joe Ajaero, tread carefully. Your end might be disastrous. Point blank, period. Now, let's look at the top stories. First is that bizarre statement from the Tinubu cabinet regarding the health sector. Minister of Health, Pate, said UK and US patients now seek medical care in Nigeria. And this has generated a lot of reactions amongst Nigerians saying UK and US now come to Nigeria for medical trip. Yet Tinubu is all over the world looking for doctors to treat him. And next is that update detailing a clash between the dubious Nigerian judiciary and an evil professor, one of INEC's returning officers, one of those evil professors working for INEC. Let's start by taking that update from the Minister of Health. Look at how the papers reported it. US, UK patients now seek medical care in Nigeria. Pate. The federal government on Tuesday revealed that Nigeria is steadily being positioned as a growing hub for quality health care, and it is now attracting patients not just from the West African sub-region, but also from countries as far as the United States and the United Kingdom. This is according to the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, who spoke to journalists after Tuesday's Federal Executive Council FEC meeting, presided over by Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa Abuja. Pate highlighted key decisions aimed at bolstering Nigeria's healthcare system. People are now beginning to come from the sub-region and even from faraway places like the UK and the US to receive quality healthcare in Nigeria, Pate said. Despite the challenges we face, significant progress is being made and the transformation promised by Tinubu is already taking shape. He said FEC approved contracts for the procurement and installation of the 3 MRI machines and 2 CT scanners at University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, Akwa Ibom. The investment in critical diagnostic infrastructure is part of a broader effort to expand Nigeria's health system capacity, ensuring that our tertiary institutions can offer world-class medical services, Pate noted. Pate credited Tinubu's leadership for driving these reforms, emphasizing that while challenges remain, Nigeria's health sector is on a path of transformation. We are investing in infrastructure, human resources, and regulatory framework to create a healthcare system that Nigeria can rely on and that attracts patients from across the globe, he said. What a joke. What a big joke. You are attracting patients from across the globe. But you, Pate, the same you, Pate, that is speaking now, Minister of Health, if you cough the wrong way, tomorrow you are out of this country. If you have a cold, kata, tomorrow you are out of this country. Who do you think you are deceiving? And J-Rock here says, if that is the case, then why do politicians travel abroad for treatment, starting with T-Pain? That is it. T-Pain is all over the world looking for who to treat him of sickness where he bring upon himself. And you are telling us that people are coming from the UK and the US. How about the fact that our doctors are living in their hundreds? Medical licenses renewal, the number of renewals keep dropping annually in this country because our doctors are fleeing the country. And instead of you guys to look for a candid solution to that massive problem, you are coming out to spread propaganda, to say that people are coming in from the UK and US. Can you see that these APC guys have very, very vile, very, very evil intention for this country? And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that update between the Nigerian judiciary, INEC, and one of the professors who work for them began making the rounds. Professors are always used by INEC to rig elections, to subvert the will of the people. But on this occasion, this particular professor jammed his Waterloo. Look at how the papers reported it. Court jails Nigerian professor Uduk for 3 years over false election results in 2019 polls, Sahara reporters. A state high court in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, has sentenced a university professor to 3 years in prison for perjury and publishing false election results during the 2019 general elections. The convicted academic professor Uduk of the University of Uyo was found guilty of announcing and publishing fabricated results in the Asian Udim State constituency election, where he served as the returning officer. The Independent National Electoral Commission prosecuted him, and in addition to the prison term, the court imposed a 100,000 naira fine. The case marks the second high-profile conviction of a Nigerian professor for electoral fraud. In 2021, another academic professor, Peter Ogban, was jailed for 3 years for falsifying results in the Akwa Ibom Northwest senatorial election to favor then APC candidate Godswill Akpabio, now the Senate president. Ogban, a former University of Calabar lecturer, was convicted for manipulating results to boost Akpabio's votes against his opponent Christopher Ekpenyong of the People's Democratic Party. Akpabio has since denied any involvement in the electoral fraud. Meanwhile, the cases against both professors were initiated by former INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Akwa Ibom, Mike Igini, who successfully secured their convictions before retiring in 2022. While the court acquitted Uduk of the first charge, announcing a false election result, it found him guilty on the other 2 counts, publishing false election results and perjury. However, as a result, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for each count, with both sentences running concurrently. It's such a pity. A university professors have now turned themselves to puppets of illiterate rogues who are parading themselves as politicians. And the professor who rigged for Akpabio was denied. Akpabio denied him. The same Akpabio that he rigged for came out and said he knows nothing about it, and the guy went to jail. Another one has been sentenced to 3 years in jail, another professor. And some Nigerians are saying if it has been established that the results he announced was fake, then the person occupying an office on the basis of that result should vacate the office. And the same thing goes for Akpabio. But the truth is, such things will not happen if the people don't rise up to make it happen. The Nigeria that we want will not be given to us by any politician or any institution. We are the ones to stand up and take it by ourselves. That was why I refused to criticize the EFCC chairman when he said Nigerians are not ready to end corruption in Nigeria because they support corrupt politicians. Yes, he works for a corrupt politician, but is he wrong about Nigerians supporting corrupt politicians? No. So we know that the judiciary is corrupt, but when they pass a good judgment, how do the people react? They have said that the election that brought in Akpabio is fake. They even jailed the returning officer that announced it. And he's sitting there in office. If Nigerians should rise up and say, young man, get out of that office, it means you are now giving the judges that passed that judgment, you are now giving them the boldness to be able to do more. Because allowing him to sit there with soldiers and everybody still guarding him, you are even putting those judges at risk. Because it means their words don't count. What I'm trying to say in essence is that our systems as they are now are extremely weak. The systems are extremely weak no matter who you are anywhere in Nigeria. If you say you want to stand alone to do the right thing, you will become the victim. They will victimize you and even throw you in jail. So the systems need the people to be able to function well. And this tweet here says, Akpabio, who he worked for, is busy doing the nays have it as a Senate president. In this life, don't labor for those dirty people. If not, you will become their pawn. He's talking about the professor who was jailed for Akpabio's sake. And this tweet here says, you jailed professor for false election results, and the person is still in office preparing for the next election. Well, that is it. That is it. If Nigerians will not rise up, we will continue to have things like this. And Oluwafemi here says, what about Yakubu that used technical glitches in 2023 presidential election? Yakubu is still walking free, and he's so sad. But I know that the repercussions will come. He will not escape it. I'm telling you, Yakubu Wike and all those guys. Hakuna Matata here says, the fool will now suffer for another's atrocity and political gain. Lesson learned. And that is it. Confusion within the judiciary and the INEC, because normally these are people that work hand in hand. In fact, during the 2023 presidential election tribunal, we saw how INEC and the judiciary were working hand in hand. But on this occasion in Akwa Ibom State, we have seen the judiciary jailing an INEC returning officer. We hope that this kind of confusion will continue in the camp of the enemies of Nigeria, because this country really needs confusion in that camp. They need to self-destruct so that the people can have their freedom. But the people will not have it that easily. They also need to do one thing. It's a big thing, but it's also a simple thing. They have made it big because of the character of hate that we have towards one another. If we can jettison this, if we can keep it aside and think of the common goal is to have a nation that works, that you and I can benefit from. And if we think in that direction, then we can easily cast aside our sentiments, unite, and take our country back by kicking the APC out of power. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because now because of una. Now I dey here, so don't go away. Don't go.